Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hey, David. How you doing?
Good. I'm just back from a vacation. People might be wondering why we didn't do podcasts for the last couple of weeks. Well, I was in Europe, so not a great place to do podcasts from. So here we are.
Welcome
back.
home.
Thanks, Kurt.
Welcome home.
All right. The Oilers lose their season opener in stunning fashion, or stunned fashion, 4-3 to the Calgary Flames. They got up 3-0 in the game, the Oilers, and they managed to find a way to lose. All three of the goals were fluky or weird, the Flames' comeback goals, but that's hockey. The grade A shots, Kurt, in this game were 16 for the Oilers, 10 for the Flames, with the subset of 5 alarm shots, 6 for the Oilers and 3 for Calgary. So the Oilers had the run of play and were dominant early on, but they found a way to lose, and we will get into that.
Yeah, well, you know what? My take on the game overall is the Flames aren't a very good hockey team.
No.
And they looked like it for the first half of the game. But you know what the Flames will do? They'll work. And they did work, and once they got a little bit of momentum, I'd say they outworked the Oilers, and I think that was probably the bigger difference in the game.
Yeah, frustrating game. I mean, the Oilers still got a point because they lost in the shootout. So
yeah, that's a team in a game you should beat and win.
Yeah, you should win that game, and the Oilers did not. All right, Kurt, we will do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers about the game. What's your good thing?
My good thing, I was just going to pick one guy, but I'm going to pick 2. It's first game of the year, so to hell with the rules. Let's go with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Predictably, perhaps, but boy, were they good tonight. Leon Draisaitl scores his 400th NHL career goal. It was a capper and a really good night for him. A goal and an assist. He also had a goal in the shootout, which unfortunately, the Oilers didn't end up winning. But you know what? He was one of the best forwards 5-on-5 as well. He had a terrific CF on the night, and overall, just between him and McDavid, they were dominant. McDavid assisted on the first 2 goals, and got that beautiful pass across to Andrew Mangiapane for Mangiapane's first as an Oiler. Practically every time that first line was on the ice, they were dangerous. Yes, you would expect that, but the big guys delivered tonight, McDavid and Draisaitl in particular. I think going forward, you're going to need more things from more guys to win more games.
Kurt, McDavid made major contributions to 14 grade A shots tonight. 8 at even strength, 6 on the power play. That's 14. Draisaitl was in on, let me just see here. He was also really, really good. He was in on 9. So, and they didn't make one mistake between them, that line on a grade A shot against. I've come around to like this line quite a bit. I think that if Nugent Hopkins especially can hold his own at center, and if Philp can hold his own, and then they can find a 4th line center, probably be Henrique as the year goes on. I think this may be the way to go. And because I think they're strongest defensively together in this situation. I think they've figured it out, and McDavid's going to, in the past, when they were switching off, they couldn't figure out who the center was. But I think if McDavid's clearly the center, Draisaitl is clearly the winger, that they can get it together. They were just so outstanding tonight. I really loved McDavid's move where he gained the blue line and cut back. That was a move Gretzky made all the time. You don't see McDavid actually do that move a lot.
No.
For him though, it's a great move because they're backing way off because of his speed, and it's a way for him to gain that space. Just do the quick cut back to the blue line. And the goal by Mangiapane there, what a shot. And I just thought, man, that's the kind of shot that Skinner and Arvidsson, who were brought in to make that shot last year, rarely made. They did a few times, but I think they've brought in a bunch of snipers this year. A bunch of guys who can really shoot the puck, and Howard and Mangiapane and Tomasek. And I'm not sure about Savoy. I can't speak to his shot, but they that was just a great snipe from Mangiapane off of McDavid's pass.
And to credit to Mangiapane, he really started that play. Even though Nugent Hopkins got the second assist on the play, it was the play at the blue line by Mangiapane that kept the puck alive and got it over to McDavid, and then the return pass, and then the snipe from the dot. Great wrist shot. And yeah, I like the shoot first attitude that guys like Mangiapane and Howard had tonight. I think that's something that was a little bit missing last year. More, please.
It's the way you get easy goals. Like, you got to shoot and have guys who can shoot. They tend to score.
Yeah,
and
how about that?
So hopefully we see more of it this year. Yeah, I also liked. I note that in overtime, McDavid drew a penalty. That was after, and I don't know if we saw a replay of this, Bouchard broke in on the goalie, and he just got slashed across the hands. He was about to deke the goalie out and score, as far as I could see. Yep. Wolf wasn't going to poke check him there. No. And there should have been a penalty in that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then McDavid got held up at center ice, and Weegar lost his mind. I think it was actually less of a penalty than the slash on Bouchard, which was egregious. A guy in scoring position about to deke the goalie, and he gets hacked on the arm, so he can't make the play.
Yep.
But it led to a power play, but no goal. So Draisaitl got his 400th. He got his goal on my good thing. I thought of the new players. I mean, I really like Mangiapane. He's not really a new NHL player, so I'm just going with the rookies, so to speak. And I thought David Tomasek was looked to me like an NHL player. I've been reading about the preseason games, but I hadn't seen them. And reading about the captain's skates, where he impressed people with his size and skill, that's how he impressed me tonight. He is a highly skilled hockey player. He made a number, especially as the game went on, he got stronger, making passes and making plays. He almost scored in overtime on a backhand shot, which was a really good shot. So we don't know about him. I'll have to watch him longer to see how he is on at the defensive end, but he didn't give up anything tonight at that end. We don't know if he can be a center or not at the NHL level, but he struck me as, of the new guys, just based on this one game, and preseason reports, I guess, is the one most likely to stick. He just he can really make offensive plays. He's a strong hockey player.
I would agree with your assessment that he was the best of all of the young newcomers, even though he's a European
29.
veteran. But yeah, I agree with you bunching him in with the other guys. That assist on the Draisaitl goal was a really nice backhand. What struck me about Tomasek is that he's very good around the net. Even though in his career he hasn't been the net front presence during his pro career, but it seems to come to him naturally, and he has good hands around the cage as well, which is really great to see. Did take a couple of penalties tonight, which I didn't love, and I don't think he's going to be an NHL center because I don't think he has the boots for it, David. Towards the end of training camp, and you wouldn't have got the chance to see these games, he started to look slower and slower as the game started to speed up. And at times I thought his lack of speed showed up tonight in a negative way. But overall, I agree with you. I like his game with the puck. I like his size. I like his ability to protect the puck. An interesting placeholder on the power play for Hyman for now. I imagine this guy will stick, though, because he does have the requisite skill.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a dominant player in Europe. We've seen all kinds of big skilled Czech centers come over, Czech forwards come over and do well in North America. He just got that high level of offensive hockey sense, and it really came through, which is interesting because he didn't start out as that kind of player. Like, he wasn't much of a scorer in his first 5 pro years, but He's gradually come on as an attacking hockey player. And I mean, the Oilers obviously recognize that. They have him on the top power play unit. They had him, was he the third guy to take a shootout shot as well?
Think so, yeah.
Yeah, and he actually made a decent shot where he almost scored to the backhand. A lot of the guys didn't really have great efforts in the shootout.
Looked like the puck was bouncing for both teams.
Fair enough, Kurt. That's a good comment. That's a fair comment. All right, let's move on to the bad things. What is your bad thing? And I want to preface this by saying, like we discussed before we go on, so we don't have the same one. And both of us agreed this was the bad thing in the game, and both of us were slapping our heads.
Yeah. Well, cast your minds back to partway through the game. It's 3-0 Edmonton. Calgary isn't even in this one. It looks like a total mismatch. It looks like the Oilers are sailing on their way to victory. They're in complete control of this game.
True.
Darnell Nurse carries the puck through the neutral zone, crosses over the blue line, and in a 3-0 game on a 1-on-2, instead of dumping it into the corner, tries to beat his man, turns the puck over, goes in the other direction. Now, the goal itself was a bad luck goal because the puck comes out in front, it hits Noah Philp and deflects past the goaltender. Philp's in the right place. It just hits him and goes in. You can't blame the goaltender on that. That's practically impossible to stop.
Just happens.
But your veteran D-man with the game 3-0, not getting the puck deep into the corner, like he knows better. And it's just infuriating that a guy who has so much skill and so much promise should be this player. But, the knock against Darnell, as good as he can be, is he often tries to do too much. And that was the perfect illustration on that play. Just dump the damn puck into the corner. Instead, it's 3-1 and you give the Flames life, and at the end of the night, it's 4-3 and you go home with a loser point.
How long must we sing this song?
Did I sound indignant enough while I was recounting that?
I mean, how many years now has it been since he's trying to do too much? Like, what? The only thing I disagreed with, Kurt, in your entire statement was I think there was actually three Calgary Flames back.
It might have been a 1-on-3 instead of a 1-on-2.
And so what is he doing?
No, it's just
it's like
it's a brain
7
fart
left in the third period. You're up 3-0.
Bantam players know to jump that puck into the corner.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Why are you trying to beat 3 players? And it was a crappy move too, like this, like just a low chance of success. And he didn't even he could have powered around them, took the puck to the corner and freezed it there, chipped it past him, freeze the puck in the corner. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? On what planet is that a good idea? When I was going to pick it as my bad thing because and of course, these things aren't mentioned that much on the broadcast, all due respect. Although Louis did say Darnell Nurse, I think, was up ice on the play. But it's been just years that we've seen this kind of mistake, and years from the Oilers, right, where they should be protecting a lead, and all of these offensive players are out there to kill the last minutes of the game or the period, and they go on the attack too much. It's just like what bugs me is this. Paul Coffey, Nurse went to Coffey and said, "Should I just be a defensive defenseman?" And Coffey says, "No, we want you to attack. We want you to be all you can be." And I guess that's good advice. And Nurse did eventually come around last regular season under Coffey, played his best hockey of his career before a pretty bad playoffs. But I do really think the best advice for Nurse is just let the game come to you. Don't do too much. Just you can shut down the game when it comes to you. You can read the game, take the puck, and then quickly advance the puck. But when you try to force things, that doesn't work out so well for you as a player. I just see him as he could be such a great defensive defenseman. I think there was another play where they almost scored in overtime late in the third, they got a penalty. Tomasic got a penalty, and Nurse went down to one knee on the slot on the pass, and it just allowed the shooter Morgan Frost all kinds of time to get off a great shot, and he almost scored on Skinner. Skinner made a brilliant save on that play. I think that was the penalty right at the end of the game, actually, or was it? Let me just check here to get it right. But he just seems to make the same mistakes year after year after year, and here we are again talking about it.
See, my take on Nurse is slightly different than yours, even though you and I agree 100% on the play. I think Darnell Nurse can be a very good two-way defenseman, and I think it would be a real waste for him to just become a stay-home defenseman. All you have to do is take plays like that play on the 3-1 goal tonight out of your game, right? And look, I've coached. Yeah, but I mean, I've coached 16-year-old kids, David, that when they do that, they missed a shift. And it's not to be mean. It's a teaching moment. Like that's not the play in that situation. And you know what? If it's a 19, 20, 21-year-old D-man, you can forgive him because they're learning the game. They're going to make mistakes. At this point in his career, he knows better.
Yeah. I agree. They should bench him when he does it for the rest of the period. Sit him down, have him think about it, talk to him about it. Say, it's just that, why did you do that?
There's an old saying that an old mentor gave me once, David. And he said, "It's time this circus left town."
Yeah. The play where he went down on one knee and allowed that great shot by Morgan Frost was in overtime, 30 seconds into overtime. And I mean, that's a little bit different, but the going down thing. But and again, he stopped last year. I think he stopped those crazy rushes up the ice where he would just end up behind the net losing the puck. He used to do that all the time, and he really did cut down on that.
Mm-hmm.
Relapse tonight. He also cut down on the going down stuff a bit, I thought, last year as well, at least until the playoffs, where he reverted in a lot of ways. But again, it's a judgment call when you go down, but he does take himself out of the play. He's fast and he's big on his feet, and he took himself out of the play. He might have been able to get a stick before Frost got off that shot if he had stayed on his feet there. So, Kurt, what is your... Oh, it's my bad thing. Sorry, I was going on so much about Nurse.
We could just make the Nurse the bad thing for both of us. But yeah, go ahead. Pick. There's more than one.
I'll be quick on this. This is just a weird play, and I'm not sure. Like, I know Skinner's to blame on this play. The puck's dumped in to his end, just a lobbing pass. It goes off.
This is the 3-3, right?
Yeah, this is the 3-3 goal early in the third period, and he goes off him a bit awkwardly, a bit more of a rebound than he would have liked. He has to move forward to play the puck, but he stops playing the puck. Then Bouchard's coming back. Bouchard doesn't take it because he doesn't see he has an angle with Skinner's stick the way it is and the way he's skating. He doesn't really have an angle to take the puck in that split second, or he would have, I believe. Skinner was expecting him to, and he didn't. They didn't communicate. Obviously, there wasn't like, I got this. Although I just think Skinner should have hammered that puck to the corner as soon as he had a chance. That would be the obvious play for a goalie when the puck's at your feet in the crease. But he didn't, and Bouchard didn't communicate. They didn't communicate, and Bouchard missed it as well. And the next thing, the puck's in the net. I'm undecided on whether Bouchard's to blame there or not. I think just on communication, lack of communication, he's to blame. But I think really Skinner is the primary culprit.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. I don't blame him on the initial handling of the puck. It was a bit of an odd deflection. I thought he did an okay job of corralling it.
Yeah.
If I put myself in the place of the defenseman coming back, I can tell when someone's on my tail. So Bouchard probably knew that the guy was right behind him. So what's he going to do with the puck, right?
Yeah.
So I say if there is any blame to be put on Bouchard, I agree with you. It's on the communication end. He's got to say to the goaltender, dump it in the corner, something, and let Skinner swat it into that left corner, into his left corner, right?
Correct.
You have to assume there was a communication issue there. But yeah, at the end of the day, Stewart has to play that puck differently. Now, look, a handful of those are going to go in every year.
Correct.
But with all of the focus on him this year, for that to happen in game one is, shall I say, less than ideal.
Essentially, the two biggest whipping boys from last year, Nurse and Skinner, made kind of major gaffes in the first game and will not have gone unnoticed by their large legion of critics. All right, Kurt, let's move on to numbers. What's your number?
58 and 11. This is referring to the Andrew Mangiapane goal.
Yeah.
It is the 58th player in Oilers history to score in their debut game in Oilers Silks. It is the 11th player in the history of the Battle of Alberta to score a goal for both sides.
Wow. Does it say who the other ones were?
No. I didn't go that far.
Interesting to know.
Yeah, but the 58th, yeah, so the 58th Oiler to score in their debut, that's pretty cool. I'm a little surprised that there's 11 players who have scored for both Calgary and Edmonton in the Battle of Alberta, because there's not that many players that have crossed over, but he was one. He was the 11th in Battle of Alberta history.
Well, that's why I was wondering who they were, because I can't think of, like, other than Glenn Cross.
There've been a few others, but
Kent Nielsen.
Yeah,
Kent Nielsen, right? He would have scored against the Flames, and I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And anyway, we won't guess them all. Kurt, my number is 4. There's been 4 big signings by the Oilers in recent days: McDavid, Wallman, Ekholm, and now tonight, between periods, Jack Roslovic. So we'll leave Roslovic to last. I just want to get your quick thumbs up or thumbs down on each signing and why that is. First, I mean, McDavid, what's your main takeaway from that, Kurt?
As you know, I maintained all along that he would resign.
You did.
In Edmonton, and I thought it would be short term, although, to be transparent, I was wrong on the term. I said 3 years and it was 2. And I was totally wrong on the AAV, but I don't feel bad about being totally wrong because everybody was.
Everyone was wrong.
Yeah. To not take a pay increase, to take the exact same money for 2 more years. I mean, what more can you ask from your leader? It's just a spectacular, selfless decision. In my wildest dreams, I didn't think he'd take that much of a haircut, and I don't think anybody else did either. So that's my take on McDavid.
Yeah, I'll just address the term issue. In my sweetest dreams, did I hope he would take $12.5 million? The thought had crossed my mind. Like, wouldn't that be great? Like if he just kept on with the same contract. But I don't know if I ever enunciated it. I mean, it would just, and if I did, it would be quickly like it's not going to happen. I thought he might take 14 because Draisaitl took 14. And there's the kind of the precedent of Crosby and Malkin taking the same. It's interesting to note that the percentage that McDavid's taking of the cap, which is the key figure, is really similar to what Kane and Taves had when Chicago won the 2 cups, their final 2 cups on those guys' second contract. So, and it's about the lowest cap hit you'll find for players, superstar players like that who have won the cup. So he really did. If he had taken 15 or 16 million, he would have had the percentage of the cap he was taking would have been quite, kind of out of line. Like, it would have been on the high side. Like people would have thought that was normal. Yeah, it is normal, but it would have 16 million or 18 million would have been on the high side for percentage of the cap. And although he's worth it, he's worth the 20% he could have got. It really does impact your team's ability to win the Stanley Cup if we look at the history of these things.
if he'd taken anywhere up to 17, nobody in the planet would have blamed him, because
No,
the best player in the league would have been, the top paid player in the league. The fact that he gave the Oilers such a hometown discount is still floors me. And we are so lucky to have someone like him who is so dedicated, that winning means so much more to him than money, that he was willing to do that. It would be easy to let this pass without saying that, but we're damn fortunate.
we are lucky, Kurt. I mean, just as people who write about the team and watch the team, it's so much more interesting if he's on the team. It would be such a downer if he
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
on the team in terms of following this team. In terms of the term, like some people, especially in Eastern Canada, Toronto, made a big deal of it just being 2 years, and it's like the clock's ticking, and blah blah blah. I don't think that, like, we know why McDavid did it. It's to give more money to the team to sign more players. As for it being like, well, so why not 8 years? Well, because everyone knows the cap is going up. McDavid also said that we don't know what the cap's going to be 2 years from now.
Exactly.
But the truth is, the cap crunch for the Oilers is this year, next year, and the year after. Even though with the cap going up from 95 to 103 or 104 to 113 in the next few years, the Oilers are in a real cap crunch with Draisaitl and Bouchard's full contracts hitting the books, and Nurse's big contract still on the books. There's a big cap crunch in the next few years. So to get through that, if you're an Edmonton Oilers leader and you want to win the cup in the next 3 years, that's why it's that term. After that, you have to see what happens, how much the cap goes up. And so I don't see this as a sign that he's kind of, throwing down the gauntlet. No, he's just making the right decision in the right moment to help the team compete and to make sure he gets paid a reasonable amount. He'll do the same 2 years from now. And whenever he wants to leave Edmonton, whether he signed for 1 year or 8 years, whether he didn't sign a new contract at all, if he had demanded a trade now, he would have got it. Whenever he demands a trade, he will get a trade. This is how the new NHL works. There's just no way it wouldn't happen. So, like, the idea that, like, this is him, I don't know, like, setting some line in the sand. No, the line in the sand's there every single day. For the urgency's been there every single day since he came to Edmonton to win. That urgency's been there. And the idea that he might leave has been up to him since the day he arrived in Edmonton. So he could have refused to come here day one, and he didn't. So I think all of that talk is just nonsense. A lot of it's mind reading, which nobody can do. But from his statements, we can tell what he's thinking, and it's to give the Oilers a chance to win, and then in a few more years he'll reassess it and either give the Oilers a chance to win or decide to leave. But he doesn't know what he's going to be thinking at that point, and nobody else does. That's for sure. So
I agree with that.
all right, Wallman, what did you think?
Really like it. I think it's 7 years to keep the AAV down.
Yeah.
He's better. He's probably a $9 million defenseman. So if you're getting him at 7 right now, that really helps you out, to your point, over the next couple of years. And for those who say, oh, that's going to be a problem by year 6 or by year 7, I don't think there's a chance in hell that $7 million a year is going to be a problem by year 6 or year 7. The cap's going to be so far beyond that by that point that it'll be a bargain. You're trying to win now, and by giving him that term, you're keeping his AAV reasonable. So I'm perfectly happy with it. He's a legit top 4 defenseman, second power play guy. Very happy with it.
So this year, the average salary of the NHL, I think, is going to be, I don't know how people work it out, but I just took the cap number and divided it by 23. The average player earns 4.1 million this year. We'll earn 4.5 million the next year, and then about 4.9 the year after that. So that's the average player, which would be your third or fourth defenseman on the team. So I agree. I like the cap hit is fine. You know, the chances of Wallman being he goes into the first year of the 7-year deal when he's 30. Kurt, there was when you get past the age of let's say 36 and over, and that'll be either the last year or two of his Wallman's contract. When you get to 36 and over, there was only two defensemen in the NHL over the 36 and over who were top four defensemen in the league last year. It is very rare. At about 35, they just come crashing off a cliff, and they're no longer able to perform as top four D-men, with a few exceptions. So when Wallman's 35, we're going to get good years. I would expect when he's 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So 5 years. The last 2 years are super iffy, and it's highly unlikely that he will be an effective top four D-man in the NHL. Might he be able to hold on as a bottom pairing D-man? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe for one of those years he will. Probably not for both. So they're gonna pay down the road for having him today, but having him today is really significant because he is a really good hockey player. He has a chance to be a top pairing defenseman on the Oilers.
I agree.
He's good enough to be a top pairing defenseman because he's a really strong two-way hockey player. I think at this point, I wouldn't be surprised already this year if he was playing on the left side, if he wouldn't be their best left shot defenseman on this team. So I'm okay with the contract as well, although I understand in the final 2 years it's probably most likely a write-off. But we hopefully we'll get 5 really good years out of Wallman and see what happens after that.
And that's beyond the Oilers' reasonable Stanley Cup window, right? So that's why I say by year 6 to 7, who cares isn't really the right thing to say, but who cares? The point is to be able to fit him under the cap now, and that's what this term enables them to do.
Ekholm.
Yeah, I have to say I saw this coming. I thought that Ekholm would probably take a haircut to stay in Edmonton, and he did. I'd say if he plays the way he did tonight, he was very good tonight. I thought he was the Oilers. I thought he was the Oilers' best defenseman tonight. If he plays like that all year, he's worth well north of $4 million. Like it's not close. He's double that. But to your point, we saw him start to break down a little bit last year physically. Happens to players, as you illustrated. And are there chances that by year 3 or year 4 of this contract, he's a second or third pairing D-man? Yeah, I'd say the chances are really good at that. But he's probably still a top 4 defenseman for the next 2 years. And if you have a top 4 defenseman making $4 million, Bob's your uncle. So I like the deal for that reason.
Yeah, the deal works. Like because the average salary is going up, like $5 million by the second year of the contract, or $4.9 million by the second year, I think, of Ekholm's new contract. So he's on the last year of his contract, his current contract this year. He gets $6 million cap hit at least. So after that, $4 million a year. Next, in the first year of the deal, is $500,000 less than the average contract in the NHL. And I would say he's an okay bet to be a top 4 D-man that year when he's 36. It's rare, hardly ever happens, but he's as good a bet as anyone right now. Like in his group, he's a good bet.
Yep.
To do that. So the next 2 years, I would say unlikely, but he might be a bottom pairing defenseman, like a solid bottom pairing defenseman in those final 2 years, let's say when he's 37 and 38. And again, there's not that many defensemen at all that age even playing in the NHL anymore. And people have a hard time because they just see Ekholm the way we see him now tonight. And, it's like, but it happens fast. They fall off a cliff. They can't play anymore. It's as simple as that. And it's the hard reality of hockey. But if he can play as well, let's say he's the 5th defenseman on the team in the final 2 years of that deal, and he's playing about as well, let's say, as Kulak played, which would be really good.
You'd take that.
If he could play that well, he'd be earning kind of like big money for a bottom pairing defenseman, like kind of Kulak money in the recent past. But if you have that defenseman in the 5 slot who is getting paid a lot of money for a bottom pairing defenseman, but is good at it, that can really help your team win as well.
Yeah.
So that's the best case scenario. I think it's about, a 33% chance that it plays out that way. But I do think it's likely he'll be good at least in one of those years, and they'll get really good value, and hopefully he can hang on as after that as a bottom pairing guy. I mean, they're like, he's kind of a poor man's Rob Blake. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer like Blake was. He's a great big guy with some offensive skill. He, there's a chance that he will be a pretty good player right through that contract. Blake was during those years. So I'm iffy on it. I see it as a really risky move. On the other hand, I understand it. They're in the championship window now. How do you replace this guy? I can see why they did it, but it is a high risk deal, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's risk involved, but again, you're playing to win over the next couple of years. So
you sure are.
Yep.
Okay, the final one happened tonight. Jack Roslovic, 28-year-old guy. Kurt, his even strength scoring rate of 2.1 points per 60 last year was the 65th best for a forward in the NHL last year.
Yeah.
He ripped it up at even strength. Signed 1 year at $1.5 million. He was apparently asking for $3 million, reportedly asking for $3 million. Earlier in the summer, the Oilers apparently made him an offer and he turned it down. He fired his agent. He's now back and he signed this 1 year, $1.5 million deal. What do you think?
Well, I think that nobody else offered him $3 million either, or he'd be there. It would be fascinating to be a fly on the wall of those conversations because there's some shit went down, man. But you know what? I think all summer and all through training camp, we've been saying, yeah, this is a really good team, but I think they're missing a scoring winger, right? Is he that guy? Well, could be. It's hard to score 20 goals in the NHL. He's done it twice.
Yeah.
And if he plays with some of the skill that the Oilers have, maybe he's a 25 goal scorer, right? Certainly going to make for some roster decisions, but that's a nice problem to have. When you have a really good team, those are hard decisions, right? But they're clearly signing but they're clearly signing this guy to play. And he is a top 6 player all day. Like he's a good offensive player. He's very creative with the puck. He is no Bob Gainey. he's not. There's no point signing him and playing him on your fourth line. Put him with skill and see if he can score you 25 goals. And at $1.5 million, if he does that for you, that's a win.
Yeah, he's a non-physical hockey player. What I think it was Todd McClellan, who said there's players who help you win in the regular season and get to the playoffs, and then there's players that help you win in the playoffs. I think Jack Roslovic sounds like the guy in that first category. That really is an impressive rate of scoring last year for the Carolina Hurricanes, but they didn't sign him back. Now maybe they didn't, and they had quite a bit of cap space, as I understand it.
They did, yeah.
So they thought they had better options. And maybe it's the non-physical and defensive lapses part of the game. We'll soon see. I mean, I like the idea of trying out all these new players: Howard, Matt Savoy, Tomasic, Noah Philp. To me, it's fun to watch all these new guys. But on the other hand, if they don't work out, the Oilers are in a hole. They're left in the lurch. They've got to have players who can perform. I can see why they'd want this guy, a veteran player, a proven NHL scorer, 65th in scoring in even strength point scoring last year for forwards. I mean, I can see why you'd think, yeah, we'll bring you in. And if that means Ike Howard's nose is out of joint because he's got to go to Bakersfield for 2 months, well, maybe that's good then, because Ike Howard's got to learn to have to fight through a lot to make it as an NHLer. And that's what I'm predicting will happen. I think Howard's the likely player. I've liked what I've seen of him. He is a high skill player. He shoots a lot. He's got a good shot. He hustles hard. He seems to be playing strong. He's trying to get it done defensively, but it won't hurt him to go spend 2 or 3 months in
It'll
Bakersfield,
probably help him.
if not the whole season.
Yeah.
It's been known to happen to players. So I think that's the likely move. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Janmark traded. He signed for $1.5 million, Roslovic.
Yeah.
Where's that money coming from?
I had the precise same thought about Janmark, who's a useful enough player and a good pro, but it feels like there's not a chair on the stage for him, you know?
Kapanen and Philp have stepped up enough to take his job, and I believe both make considerably less than Janmark. Does Kapanen make less than Janmark? Philp does. Philp's on the minor.
Pretty sure Kapanen makes less.
I'll look it up quickly. Kapanen almost scored in overtime there.
Yeah, he rung it off the bar. I thought the game was over.
Rats. Kapanen makes 1.3 actually, so not much. But anyway, he's got a job. He's big and physical.
Yeah.
I mean, Janmark, I think, can still help an NHL team. Even though he only scored, I think, 2 goals last year, he is a hustling, hitting, savvy veteran hockey player who can kill penalties. I don't mind him on the Oilers. I know a lot of people were really upset with him last year for lack of scoring, which is fair. But he's a good two-way hockey player, and he has come through in the playoffs. He was great in the 2024 playoffs, which earned him a 3-year contract, and he was okay in the playoffs last year. But he's been getting weaker defensively, and it is time for him to move on from a championship team. He's not at that level anymore. So he would probably like to be traded somewhere because he'll play. He won't be playing much in Edmonton, or he'll be sent to Bakersfield.
Yep. So those are the 4 signings. I gotta say, pretty tidy bit of business by Stan Bowman. And some people will say, "Oh, Leavins, you can't give him credit for the McDavid thing." I think he does deserve some credit because this was a veteran general manager who understood that McDavid needed time and space and didn't push. Right? I think if a different general manager handles that situation differently, it's quite feasible that McDavid didn't extend. Right? So I think you have to assume that this was handled properly, even though it was McDavid's decision. I think that my perception is that Bowman made the decision relatively easy for him in the end, by the way he handled it.
I think 2 other factors may have come into play, Kurt, and I'm just guessing here because we can't read McDavid's mind, so this is pure speculation. I think, like we heard that McDavid and Draisaitl watched the rookies. Mm-hmm. I think that that Bowman's working so hard to bring in players like Tomasic and Lepinen, and soon will be criticized for pronunciation of Lepinen as well. And trading for Savoy and bringing in Howard, I think that made a difference. You know, you can see these guys can play hockey. Alec Regula can play hockey. These guys are all skilled hockey players. And I think that essentially getting those guys, they gave up valuable assets for Savoy and Howard, but they got Tomasic and Lepinen for free. And these guys can really play hockey. They are high-skilled hockey players. Mm-hmm. Whether they have everything it takes to be NHLers, yet to be seen. But I think that made a difference. And I suspect the injury to Alexander Barkov. If you're McDavid and you're looking at that and you think, oh, my chances of winning in Edmonton just went up.
That's an interesting take.
10 to 20%.
I hadn't thought of that.
This is a pretty good situation here in Edmonton because McDavid's had serious knee injury. He knows how hard it is to come back. It's going to be hard for Barkov. He may, like, sometimes, you're not the same player. Mm-hmm. That's a major injury, obviously. And Oilers' chances of winning the Cup went up significantly this year just because Florida lost such a key hockey player. I mean, it's just like when Hyman went out before the finals. Florida's chances went up. Same deal. And I just wonder if that was just like, this is pretty good. This is a pretty good situation here playing with Leon Draisaitl and Evan Bouchard. And there's enough talent here coming along. We got a GM who's fanatical about bringing guys in, more guys. And so I think that might have been a factor too. But again, that's pure speculation.
Okay, if I sprinkle in a couple other observations from tonight's game.
Go ahead.
Real quick ones. I think both you and I were concerned about the size on that second line.
Yeah.
The Nugent Hopkins centered line. Nugent Hopkins certainly had a good night on the score sheet, but that second line got torched 5-on-5. It wasn't good. So that's something worth watching going forward. The other thing I want to pick up on was early in the first period, Ike Howard went in on goal, got a shot on goal, then went around the defenseman, and the puck wasn't completely frozen yet, so he gave the goaltender a bit of a tap. And Weegar came on and grabbed him and started roughing him up against the boards. I just want to point out that the first guy in there who grabbed Weegar, like without a second of hesitation, was Adam Henrique.
Rico.
You know, and I really like that, because there's a kid out there in his first NHL game. He's all full of piss and vinegar, and Weegar, this big veteran, grabs him and starts roughing him up. And, you know, Henrique isn't exactly the biggest guy in the block, but I mean, he didn't blink an eye. Bam, he was in there and grabbed his man and pulled him off Howard. You know, it's little things like that that make great teammates.
I mentioned that in the game grades. I actually, it was one, I didn't think Henrique had a good game or didn't make much of an impact, but that play was huge. I thought it was magnificent that he did that. I loved it. And I agree, Kurt. Like, if you're on the team and you're the rookie and a guy who scored, you know, he's close to 1,000 games. I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
He's
Comes
6
in there
shy
and
of
does
1,000
that.
now, I think. Yeah.
He's showing you how it's done, and also like how it's done as a teammate. You know, standing up for a teammate.
Sets a good example.
That was absolutely excellent. I agree with you in this game. I was, you know, just one final point from me on Ekholm. I'd wanted them to wait for the regular season to sign him again.
I know you did.
But of course, the Oilers they see him in practice every day for the last month. They've seen him in exhibition games, and so they are assessing him every second of that time, and watching how he's playing. I thought he moved really well and was so agile and athletic. He's a very athletic person, athletic defenseman, and he was, I agree, their best defenseman tonight. I gave him a 7, and it's so critical to the team. Great to see him back. Great to see him playing so well, and may he do so for many, 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 many more years.
4 more years. 4 more years.
All right, Kurt. Let's leave it there. Thanks for talking tonight.
It's a pleasure to have you back, and it's great to be back doing the podcast, and it's great to have hockey back, even though it sucks to lose to the Flames.
In a weird one. All right. And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.